This is Chrissy,
This is Shirin.
and this is Two Girls Talking Shit.
Each episode will have deep discussion and conversation on topics that matter to us, ranging from wellness to politics.
Of course, with a healthy dose of pettiness, side-eye, and shade.
You ready, Chrissy?
You ready, Shirin?
This is...
TGTS.
Hi, it's Chrissy.
And this is Shirin.
And today we're going to be talking about romantic relationships.
Yes, we're going to be talking about romantic relationships because between Chrissy and I, we have some pretty good stories. We have a lot of lived experience in this arena. But as a disclaimer, we have to put it out there that we are both cis hetero women. And so we're going to be talking about stories that kind of relate to our personal experience. So yeah, I think we should first say that. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have to put that out there. We know there's a wide perspective of things, but these are the only two that we can lend you today. But we think you'll find some insight from what we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but first, before we get into the stories, Chrissy, what is up in your neck of the world? Woods? World?
It's the woods. I don't really know why they say that, but that is a saying, your neck of the woods.
Wait, are we still allowed to say that?
I don't know. It's probably problematic.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like I need to Google this as we talk about it.
Google as you talk. So I'm going to tell you what's happening in my neck of the woods while we decide if we cannot say that anymore. So like last week, I was laying in the bed and I couldn't sleep. It was like midnight, which is very weird for me. I'm a person in 2 minutes, I'm out like a light, but I couldn't sleep. And then out of nowhere, this idea drops into my head. And that idea is a voice telling me, Chrissy, you need to run. You need to start running. And I hate running. I don't like it at all. So I did fall back asleep, but then the next day I couldn't stop thinking about running. It's the only thing I wanted to do, but I didn't really want to do it. But it didn't go away. So the moral of the story is yesterday, I went for my first run. I downloaded this app called Couch to 5K, not 25K. Listen, no one's doing that. Couch to 5K. I did day one. I didn't die.
Amazing.
It wasn't like, wow, I love this so much. It's the best thing ever. But it also wasn't like, oh, why am I doing this? So it was just okay. It was just in the middle of the road. And
in the middle of the road?
No, I wasn't running in the middle of the road. See, another saying. It's like, no, not actually in the middle of the road. I was on the sidewalk. I ran outside because it was like relatively warm yesterday. It's like 45.
Yes.
And I'm from Wisconsin. That's relatively warm.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost spring, basically. So anyways, I did that yesterday and it wasn't awful. I think I'm going to keep it up for a while and just see what happens. I mean, listen, you're not going to see me running any marathons or any half marathons. Like, honestly, I just want to get to like 3 miles and I'll be like, all right, I did it. Check it off the list. So that's what's happening with me.
I actually really do enjoy running, and I never did like a couch to 5K. I just kind of was of the school of thought of like, put on shoes and just go run. And I actually really do think that I should do one of those because it's about pacing, right? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's like the day one where like you run for 60 seconds and you walk for 90 seconds and you do that for like 8 intervals. So, we'll see. I mean, I admire that you just started running and just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. That wouldn't work for me because I'd be like, I ran a half block. All right, we're done. That was good. I did good today. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right.
But before you tell us about the tea, did you find out? Are we not supposed to be saying this anymore?
Y'all, I don't know. There's a lot of different things and the jury's out. Also, can I still say the jury's still out? Because
I don't know. Can we say that?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. But if
sure.
If one of our listeners knows.
If anybody listening,
yes,
and you can educate us on should we not be saying that,
please
let us know.
Please.
We need to know.
Maybe we need to create like just our own idioms, like and there that is.
But what would we make up for your neck of the woods though? What is that?
No. As in like make up our own idioms, like our own neck of the woods. Like,
no, I know. So what's that? What's the thing for neck of the woods? What is it going to be?
And that's the way the donut holes.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of the movie, but okay, I won't.
Which movie?
Knives Out. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. Y'all, if you have not seen the movie Knives Out, you need to go see this movie. I recommend it to Chrissy. I was like, just go see it. It is funny. It's a thriller, but it's also got like political like undertones, not even undertones, they're overtones.
Yeah.
It's such a great movie, but there's like this long scene at the end about donuts.
Donut
And like,
holes. Donuts and donut holes.
anyways, it's fantastic. But I do believe this is probably our most rambly and weirdest intro
Ever.
of
I don't know
all.
what's happening today. Okay, so let's refocus. What's happening in your donut hole? Is that what we said? Not donut hole.
Whoa.
That didn't sound right.
Whoa. That
God.
is
That
just
didn't come out
inappropriate.
That was inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay. What's happening in your
let's-
world?
In my donut hole.
What's the tea?
What's the tea? So honestly, y'all, I do not have much to report. Like I was like, what am I going to talk about that's happening in my life? And really, really not much. Like I think it's like that post-holiday-ness of it all where it's funny, like I don't know if people find this when they're in partnership with others. Me, Raj and I don't know, like we have like I feel like one of us is always accountable for something, like it's accountability police. And when it comes to sleep, he's the accountability police. You know what I'm saying? So like when Raj isn't around, I'm like on Instagram until 1 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And but because of the holidays, he's out of it and I don't even want to go to bed ever. So I'm just staying up for no reason until like, midnight, 12:30. That's like late for me. And it's really kind of messing me up, but it's like you feel like you're being bad, but you're an adult. You're like, what? You're the only one who suffers in the end. So that's it. That's all I got.
I know. I understand that. I find myself doing that all the time, and I'm like, I don't even. Why am I up right now?
Why?
This doesn't make sense. And tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be like, why didn't I go to bed earlier? But you're right. It's like a vicious cycle that you
It's a
get
vicious
in.
cycle. And that morning you say, oh, tonight I'm going to go to
Tonight's
bed
the
so
day.
early. And then all of a sudden you realize that you can watch Sister Wives illegally on your computer and you
And
do
you're
that.
like, I'm in.
Don't tell anyone I watch Sister Wives. Okay. So
Okay.
talking about Sister Wives, let's get into romantic relationships.
I like that transition.
Okay. So Chrissy, why don't you tell us a little bit about just like because like I think when we're in elementary school, high school, those are like some pretty formative years when it comes to just like our identity around people of the opposite sex, if that's what we're attracted to, relationships, maybe feeling left out, maybe being super included. What was your experience like? I definitely know when you were homeschooled, that was not happening.
There was no action when I was homeschooled.
God.
But luckily for me, that only lasted till I was like 9.5. So
Fair
it
enough.
was okay. It was
Fair
okay. So what was so here's the thing. I don't know how to say this without sounding very pretentious, but I'm just gonna say it.
Say it.
I've always had a lot of action in that neighborhood, I never felt, I don't know how to say it, y'all. I'm just gonna say it. I never have felt like people like the way I looked. That's what it was. People like the way I looked. And so that was always kind of, so never felt for me. I never had the experience of feeling like I didn't think that I was like pretty enough to be in a relationship, or like I didn't feel like I had to like go above and beyond to like get attention from boys. Like just like was never my experience. Maybe also because I'm like 6 feet tall, like you're gonna see me, right? It's gonna happen. But I will say I went to middle school. I went to a private Christian middle school. There were like no other Black kids in school. Not that that matters, but in middle school, I was like really, really tall too. I was like 5'8" in like 3rd grade.
Wow.
I was always taller than everybody. Yeah.
Wait,
yes.
stop.
I know.
Third grade?
Yeah, there's like a picture of me and I'm like, I look like the teacher, all the other kids. I was like really, really tall at a young age. And so it took me till high school to like anybody caught up with me in terms of height.
Oh my God, y'all, you can't see me, but I'm laughing so hard right now because
can't even talk.
Like she was 8 years old and she was 5'8".
I was so tall, y'all,
my
like
God.
from a very young age. And so it wasn't until high school. So I don't know, like what people get their first boyfriends, but it wasn't in middle school. Let's just say that. Plus I came from a really, really strict household. And so boys could not call my house until I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And my first boyfriend I had my first boyfriend when I was 16 and I was breaking the rules. Like I wasn't even allowed.
What?
I know. I was a little naughty little girl, 16-year-old. No, but seriously. So, I don't know. It was never really a thing for me. I just always was like, all right, whatever. There's boys around. And, they like me. I don't know.
So I had the exact opposite experience
Okay, so let's talk about yours. Let's talk
of
about yours.
Glamazon Chrissy King over here. Yeah, no, I was like, so I grew up in a neighborhood where like no one looked like me. And I was just like this like big ball of Iranian hair.
Yeah.
And just I was, kind of like a bigger kid. I grew up just it was an environment where no one looked like me at all, right? And so like this concept of beauty and desirability there was not what I was, right? And so growing up in an environment like that, you kind of are like, oh, well, I guess I'm not desirable. I guess I'm not beautiful. So like when I was in high school, I had lots of friends. I had lots of guy friends too, but I would like no one ever dated me. And it wasn't, I literally had my first kiss when I was 20 years old.
20?
Yeah, because then there comes
2-0?
2-0. Because then there becomes, first of all, because I also went to high school in the same city and I went to college in the same city. And I think then you kind of get to this point where you're like, oh my God, like I'm so old now. And like, then it's like, it's even more awkward, but you're like, I'm going to have my first kiss, like, and it's going to be terrible. Okay, Chrissy, you do not have to make that face.
Wait, y'all can't see me, but my face has been frozen since she told me this.
Wow. Safe space, Chrissy King. Safe space.
Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
but I get it.
Carry
It's
on.
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So it really is, because then I guess that's the point where you're like, oh my God, like how do I move my
How do I
lips?
do this?
What do I do? Right. And
Yeah.
so there's that. And then there's also just this thing of like, you just don't have that energy of having game. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like this vicious cycle of just like it not happening. And honestly, it happened. I went on a semester abroad to Berlin, and that's where I had like I feel like just being in a different environment, not that people looked any more like me, but just being in a different environment. And it was also like I feel like that's why I love about travel is you get to just try on a different version of yourself, and nobody's like, hey, like why are you doing this? Everyone was like, yeah, that's just who you are. And so that was a really great experience, because then I just had a lot of practice. And then but yeah, like I was a super duper late bloomer.
Wait a minute. So your first kiss was an international boo?
It was an international boo.
Listen, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's 20 is late, but that's a great way to break yourself in, though.
I mean, listen, it was just, oh God, horrible person. But I'm so
Doesn't
glad.
matter.
Yeah, totally great. But what was, for me, what was really eye opening was when I moved to New York when I was 22. I got here, and I think I've talked about this before, and all of a sudden, like, there were women who looked like me, and that people were like, that is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Right. That idea of just representation and the context of like just where you are and how people see that. And so it wasn't until I moved to New York that I fully even thought that I was beautiful, and like own my body, own my looks, own my hair, like everything about me. And I got to the city and it was just like a smorgasbord. And it was actually overwhelming at first, because I was like, oh my God, like I just had never had that type of attention. And it was actually very overwhelming, kind of flattering and nice, but also like you kind of don't know what to do with it. It's like going to a buffet of, food that you've always wanted to eat, but like you've never tasted. And so you're like, I don't know if that's the
It's
metaphor.
a human man buffet. Is what you're telling me.
Wow, this is just going to be us cackling for
At each other.
So that was kind of my experience. Like it wasn't until New York that I just really started dating a lot and like got into my first relationship, and yeah, so I was very late to the game, but I made up for it. But yeah.
Well, also, like, you're gorgeous. So, I mean, no, I'm not just saying it. Like, really, listen, if you're not watching, like, go look her up because she is gorgeous. But the whole thing about depending on where you are and like why representation is important is because like a simple thing like moving to a different place helped you realize like, oh wow, I am beautiful.
And it's also about like owning who you are, right? Like I'm sure that I probably could have had lots of success in Vancouver, but I just didn't feel comfortable in who I was. And like, that's the energy that I was also giving off too. So like, if you're giving off that energy, people can feel that, guys can sense that. And it's just, you know what I'm saying? So I think it was kind of a little chicken and egg thing. I definitely got over it once I moved to New York and I really owned like who I was and how I looked. So yeah, so that was kind of, yeah. But then you, Chrissy King, met your husband when you were 19.
Well, technically we met earlier than that, but we didn't start dating till I was 19, but we went to high school together.
Right.
So I've actually kind of known him since like, I don't know, we were freshmen. Like I remember like I didn't really get to know him well till like junior, senior year, but like the funniest story about him is like he was like the kid who got hit by a car or something. I don't. Yeah, it was just like this big thing. He's like, that's him. 'Cause, like I went to like a relatively like decent sized high school. There's probably like 1,500 kids, and there's like this guy where he was talking about like got hit by this car, and I didn't know. They're like, you do know him. You just have to see him. And I'm like, oh, that guy. That's the guy that got hit by
What?
the car.
Because he's walking with a limp? Like, why?
No, I don't remember why we were talking about he got hit by a car, but like he did.
Okay, but
Anyways.
having said that though, right? Because
Yeah.
you just said that your first boyfriend was at 16.
Oh, right. It wasn't him.
No, I know, but then you met your husband when you were 19, or like you
Right.
you
That's
started.
not very much time. Is what you're saying.
That's not a lot of time. But and then you got
No.
married when you were 22.
I did. Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, truth be told, I didn't really date a lot.
Yes.
I dated this guy that's when I was 16. We were together for a couple of years. And then I broke up with him. I had this other boyfriend in between who was like, y'all, he was a hot mess. Like I almost need to get a restraining order. Hot mess. He was just a hot mess. Yeah, it was bad. And also, this is, those people you're not supposed to be dating, but you're just gonna do it anyways, right? I was like 17 or 18. No, I must have been like 17 and a half. He was 20, and he, where we met? We met at our jobs at Target.
Oh my God.
Right. So whatever. Anyways, I dated him for a while, and then then I started dating David. So I did not spend a lot of time dating, and I mean, honestly, I don't feel like I dated at all as an adult, right? You're not an adult. Like, at 18 or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're not an adult. I was a child. And then I was with David until like, within the last year.
Wow.
So that was the entirety of my dating experience right there.
So for you, because right now, are you actively dating?
I mean, how do you define the word actively? I don't know.
Are you at least going on a date or two?
Yeah, I'm going on a date or two. When I say like, I guess I wouldn't use the word actively only because I'm not like pursuing dates per se. Like something just happens to come around. I'm like, all right, maybe we'll see. But speaking of what you said earlier, I have no game.
She has game, y'all, but she just doesn't. No, because when you walk with Chrissy King in New York, like it's as if I'm like a set decoration. Like I'm a lamp. I'm a street lamp next to Chrissy. Like
not true.
Guys will pass us by. And here we go. The caliber of man.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. But like, it's as if I'm not like someone. I'm waiting for the day that somebody walks into me because they're staring at you so hard. But anyway,
that is an exaggeration.
But it is a weird thing when you come somewhere, you don't have a lot of experience dating, and it's just like you're the source of attraction. But also like now as an adult woman dating, or just having gone on a couple dates, what's that learning curve like for you?
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, so you just hear me that. I think it is like, it's really interesting. Dating as a 34-year-old woman who doesn't have much dating experience is really interesting.
Yeah.
I joined the apps for like 2 days. And having talked this through with Shirin already, apparently I didn't necessarily approach it with the right attitude. And so y'all, this is the thing.
Wait, Chrissy, can you please tell them what you did?
I'm going to tell them what I did. So I downloaded an app. First I downloaded Tinder, and within 2 seconds I was like, I don't like this. And I deleted it. And I also downloaded Bumble, which if you've been on both, they're essentially the same. But for some reason, the energy with Bumble was different. So I kept Bumble, but I didn't even really fill out my profile. I just threw up 5 pictures of myself from my phone. And I was like, all right, we're here. We're doing this. And then I just started swiping. And I was getting a lot of matches. I was like, wow, this is great. I'm getting so many matches. I mean, they weren't just quality. Again, I only spent 2 days on there. So I have limited ability to tell you about too much quality. But the first few were not quality. They were a little bit off. And Shirin happens to believe that maybe it's because I didn't even fill out my profile. I can see that.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of reasons, but like when you see on a dating app, when you see someone who just has pictures, a name, and their age, then it's just like, oh,
and my height. I want people to know I'm tall.
Right. So, okay, this is a woman who is there for like men who have a tall woman fetish. She hasn't written anything down. Like that. I mean, that's like the thing. And then wait, didn't you have something with like, you were looking for?
Oh yeah. So it's actually what you're looking for. And I was probably too honest. There's an option that says, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I don't know. So
oh, Mike, I hope whoever is listening is
don't
like,
put that.
like your mouth is agape. It's like, what is going, like, it's just, no. Anyways.
Yeah. So if I get back on the apps eventually, we'll approach it a little bit differently. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I do, I'm not looking for a relationship right now. However, I think the practice of dating is good practice. So I'm not like really, because like, what if I meet someone I really like and then I'm like super awkward on the date? We don't want that. So, the other part for me is honestly, like because I'm not like in the space where I'm like, oh, I really want to be dating. I'm really bad at communicating with people because I'm just like, I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to text back. So I got to get in the right frame of mind.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. And so I actually am a huge fan of the apps. I love the apps. So when I moved to New York, I got on Plenty of Fish, which was one of like the very, very first like dating app things, which was like, this is before our smartphones and everything. And that's how I met my first long-term boyfriend. And we were together for like 3 years. And so for me, like the apps have always been like a means to an end. I don't think that the apps are some sort of like dumping ground of like trash people. I just think it's a pretty good indicative, like, specimen, like sample of who is out in your city, right? And there's just as many great guys as there are not so many great guys. But yeah, like, but I know there is like an investment of time and energy that has to be put into like sussing it out and like creating a profile and responding back to people. And that can be really overwhelming. And I find that most of the people who do reach out, just like when me and Chrissy are walking, the guys who holler at you are usually the ones who are like, not the ones you want hollering at you. So it takes some time, it takes patience, but I am a huge, huge fan of the apps. And I've dated a lot of great guys. I've dated some not so great guys, but yeah. So that's my little 2 cents on the apps there.
I mean, also, excuse me, I think with the apps, I think that some people have this idea that, like you said, there's just like a bunch of trash men on the apps.
Right.
And I agree. I don't think that's true. And I feel like you can meet trash people in person as well. Like, so I don't think being on an app makes someone, not the type of person you want to meet. And I know lots of people who have had like successful relationships from people that they've met on the app. So I'm not anti-app at all. I just don't feel like putting the energy into the apps at the moment.
I think one of the things that really sucks though, one of the things that sucks just specific to an app is that when you meet someone, you don't have any context of like their people. Cause like if they ghost you, you can't be like calling up a friend and being like, yo, what the fuck is up with your friend? Like Todd, like you never got back, like there's just, like they can literally like disappear into thin air. And I think that's also indicative of like kind of our culture right now with like ghosting and just kind of not having that, kindness and I think more of a responsibility to break it off with someone. Just kind of like, and I get like Chrissy, like right now you were saying like, I just don't have that energy. It does require a bit of energy to be like, yo, I really enjoyed our last date, but I'm like, I'm not really interested. It's like, we don't want to say the truth. So we just kind of let someone down
gently, but it's really rude.
It's the worst. It's not even gentle.
Yeah, it's rude.
The worst. It's the worst. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree. So I want to hear about some of your dating experiences. What is your funniest date from the apps? Tell us something juicy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have dated a lot. Like I literally can if I go out, the likelihood of me seeing someone that I dated is pretty high. And
this has happened multiple times while we've been together. And I've not been here that many months, y'all. So I'm just
two guys that I dated are on Netflix shows. And it's like the funniest thing. Like we'll be sitting on the couch and then I'll be like, and then Raj will be like, don't tell me you dated that man. And I'm like, so anyway,
I mean, you were picking them good though. Netflix.
I was.
I mean, seriously, that's amazing.
Very talented men. So I'll tell y'all my story of like dating, and I've dipped into this before, but I hit 30, something switched inside me, and I was like, I gotta find me my forever boo, and I just started dating guys based on like potential. Like I was dating people not really seeing them for who they were, but what I felt like they could become, or, so I would get into these relationships and I'd be, we'd be dating for like a couple weeks and I'd be like, this is it. This is it. And I cause I so wanted to just be in a relationship. Like I was so fixated on the goal that I wasn't really looking at the person in front of me. And the kind of like come to Jesus moment was I ended up dating this guy. I talked about this guy before, but he ended up, like we were together for 6 months and he had been lying to me about his occupation for the entire time. And when I found out he was lying about it, I, instead of breaking it off and being like, I can't be with this person, I was like, well, but he really loves me. So maybe I should be with him. Like but that's where I was. Cause I was like, I just so wanted to get booed up. I so wanted to get married. I was just being so like, in scarcity mindset and just scrambling to just make this work. And then, like I got hit in the face with reality and we broke up. So that's when I started working with a coach, and it was a relationship and love coach. And
okay, can we pause 1 second?
Yes.
Okay, but like what made you decide to say like, I'm going to go get a coach? Like, yes, you were in this bad relationship and you've been lied to, you stayed longer, but what was like, you know what? I need help.
So that like for me, the worst part of that relationship wasn't that he was lying to me, because I honestly do think that can happen to anyone, right? Like, and yeah, I mean, we should probably have an episode of just like signs and stuff, but there were signs there. But I didn't want to see them. And I think that's what was so scary to me, was like, I wasn't listening to myself. And in that month that I decided to stay with him after I knew he was lying to me, that was what I was like, okay, you need to fix something within you. Like you could, you got lied to, that sucks. That's really sad. But like the saddest thing here is that you decided that that was good enough for you. Right. And so that's when I started to do like this journey of self-growth. Like I started to like look into mindfulness and mindset, and I started listening to all these podcasts that were, by coaches or by self-help people, whatever. And on one of those podcasts, I'd never heard of coaching before. This coach started talking, and everything she was saying, I was like nodding my head. Oh my God. Like, yes. Like, are you someone who like, if a guy doesn't text you back, like you're in tears, you're crying, like if it, like I would just take everything so personally. If someone ghosted me, it was just like, it was an exhausting experience dating, but I knew that dating was the way that I was going to meet this person. And so I was like, I got to figure out how to do this in a kinder way, gentler way. And so she started talking. I was like, I don't know what the fuck this coaching shit is, but I'll do it. Like, like seems like she's figured it out. And so I signed up for her thing, and it ended up being great. But one of the things she said to me was like, you get attached to people's potential. So what you need to do is you date a lot of men and allow them to show you who they are, right? Like just let them, and the way that they like, like the way that they treat you, the way that they respond to you, like really is indicative of where they're at in their life. Maybe not who they are at their core, but if a guy isn't texting you back, then like, they're showing you where they're at in their life. And so it was really great advice, because like I was taking all that personally, or I would just keep clinging on to people who were obviously, they couldn't make the time for me. And so I started like dating, like Josh, my roommate, will tell you, I made it a full-time job. Like one summer I was literally going out on like 3 dates with probably 2 to 3 different men every week for like an entire summer.
Okay, that is a job.
That is a job. Like
that is a whole job right there.
But like I made it a priority. Like my priority was to date and to meet this person. And I was dating with a whole different mindset. Like I wasn't taking things personally. Like if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But in that process, like I dated half of New York and Brooklyn. I had some really great experiences. I had some really funny experiences, and it taught me a lot about myself. Like I always say this, like dating is just practice experience. Like being in relationship with others is the best way for us to really heal our own wounds and learn about ourselves. So it was a really great learning experience. Not to say I didn't cry, but I went on some fantastic dates and some not so great dates. But my favorite date, my funniest date, is this one, which I'm going to tell now. So, okay, so me and this guy, we met on, I think, Tinder. But what was funny was we were going to the same gym. So we'd seen each other and then we saw each other at app. So we had that common ground, and he seemed really cool. He was cute. And he was like, yeah, like I really want to take you on like, we both like bike riding. He's like, I'm going to take us on a bike ride and we're going to like go to every food spot that I love in Brooklyn.
Okay, first off, that sounds like an amazing date. Sign me up for that.
Exactly, right? Because like usually
Yes.
when you're on the apps, it's like, let's go for coffee, let's go for dinner. And I was like, whoa, this guy's like really trying. This is amazing.
Great.
This is great. So I was already like super excited for this date. And it ends up raining on the day of our date. So he's like, okay, it's raining. Let's just go get coffee and then we'll head to this place for dinner. And I was like, that sounds wonderful. I go to the coffee shop and I get in there and like, I just instantly know this ain't my guy.
It's not gonna happen.
No, you just,
Not it. You just know.
you just know sometimes with someone's energy. And it was just like, I just knew. And then we started talking and I like knew even more. But I was like, again, like my whole mindset was just like, let's just see what happens. Especially this guy was so thoughtful. He thought of this beautiful date to go bike riding. Like, let's just see what happens. So I'm sitting there, but I'm like, it's just like pulling teeth, trying to like have a conversation with him.
That's the worst, by the way.
The worst on a first
That's
date.
the worst. Oh gosh, yeah.
And so then he's like, okay, like let's head to dinner. And he's like, so we were in Brooklyn and he's like, let's go to this spot in like Midtown Manhattan, which is really far.
Really far.
Like
really
that,
far.
it made no sense to me. I was like, okay. And he had a car and he's like, yeah, we're going to go meet my friend and his wife for dinner. And I was like,
On a first date?
it's like literally like the record scratch in a movie. I was like, oh,
What?
yeah. And like the look on my face, like just must've changed instantly. Cause he looked at me and he's like, oh, is that not okay? And I was like, not really. Like, this is our first date. I'm just trying to get to know you. Like,
I don't want to meet your friend and his wife. No.
yes, exactly. I said it in a much nicer way. I was like, like, I don't really know you. It's not a really great way for me to get to know you, cause I'll just, your friends will be there, whatever. But I was like, okay, like, well, whatever. Let's just do this. I was like super hungry. I was like, let's just get this meal. So we drive all the way into Manhattan and we head to this restaurant that's like super fancy. Like this is like a 4-star restaurant in
Okay, well, were you dressed for the occasion? Because I mean, this wasn't really the plan to go to a 4-star restaurant.
It was not, Chrissy. So I don't know what inside me, but I actually dressed really cute. Maybe because I wanted to impress him because of this bike ride
first date, whatever.
But
yeah.
I actually was wearing like a dress. It was cute. So I was dressed fine for this date.
Okay.
But I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is a really fancy restaurant. Like, it's this restaurant in the city where they fly the fish fresh in every day from like the Mediterranean Ocean. Like,
wow, this guy was really trying to impress you on this first date. Introduce you to the finer things in life. My goodness.
Exactly. So we walk in and I don't know who his friend is. And mind you, this guy, like I'm at this point, I think I'm like 31, we're young. He's my age. He's a photographer. Like, this is not an establishment where we get, dinner.
I mean, unless he's like Beyonce's photographer or something. Was he?
Right. No.
Okay. So that's not the case. Okay.
No, so he's not. And so we get in and then his friend walks up to us and he's like this like 60-year-old middle-aged, like 60-year-old balding man. And I'm like, what is out man? I'm like, what is happening? And then this man's wife comes up behind him and she's this gorgeous, like 20-something Jamaican lady.
Ooh, what?
And I'm like, oh my God, I am going to get eyes wide shut tonight. And
obviously that's the only thing you'd be thinking in this situation. This is getting weirder and weirder by the moment.
I'm like, this is going to be some weird thing where like my drink is laced with something. And like, I don't know what happens, but I was so hungry that I was like, screw it. Let's do this. So we end up having dinner with his friends. And y'all, like, this dinner was, okay, it was like, he probably dropped 2 G's on this dinner. Like, I'm not kidding. We went, like, you go and pick your fish and stuff. And like, they got us this like shrimp appetizer where like each pound of shrimp was like $200 and they got like 4 pounds of shrimp. It was ridiculous. Like, and then, so what ends up happening is that his friend is like a huge guy in the food and wine industry, like huge name. And he's super connected, so he got us these like bottles of wine that like from 1972 vintage, like totally lost on me. Like, I don't know what this is.
But it was expensive.
So expensive. Chrissy, this was the best meal I've ever had in my life.
To date, still.
To date, it was mind-blowingly good. And like, actually what ended up happening was like the couple, they were lovely. Like I had.
What? Really?
Listen, if it was a date with the 3 of us, it would have been
great.
My date was a total dud. Total dud. Like he like did not contribute a word to the
Oh
conversation.
God.
At the end of the night, I was like, you know what? You know,
This is not gonna work.
well, no, but like, who am I to judge about your relationship? Like, everyone
Oh,
comes
you
into
mean
a
with the
relationship, right?
couple?
Like, I'm like, you came in with some things you wanted, and you wanted some other things, and you both are
Everybody's needs are
obviously
met.
everyone's
Right.
needs are met except mine
Except for
at this
well, you got
moment.
a great meal out of it though.
I did get a great meal, but like, honestly, worst date of my life with that guy, but best date, three-way date of my life
That you've ever been on.
that I've ever been on.
Probably the only three-way date you've been on.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. Also, yes.
I mean,
So
I'm making
yeah.
all of assumptions. I don't really know, but okay. But I have one question about this story. How did
Yes.
these two know each other? The photographer and this 60-year-old
The
man.
photographer knew his wife. They knew each other from
Oh, so they were more friends.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
I mean, listen, that's one of my favorites. I got stories though, but
but I mean, that all from a Tinder date. That was supposed to
yes,
start out riding bikes. I mean, that's an
exactly.
adventure right there.
Exactly. Yes. So so that for me was like the adventure. Like I was actually dating pretty hard for a year. And then before I met Raj, it was like 2.5 years from when I started working with that coach and when I met Raj. But it was like actually a really great ride because like I totally my perspective around dating and taking things personally had shifted. And so it was easier. And I met Raj through Instagram. I DM'd someone who was like a mutual person who knew us, and she connected us. So listen, social media and the apps can work in
The
your
way you meet
favor.
men these days, or women, or whoever you're looking to meet, doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Exactly.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. So yeah, but now I'm all booed up. But like the days of dating were fun.
So I have a quick question. Back to your dating coach. Are you
Yes.
happy that you worked with her? Like, do you
I'm
think it was worthwhile for you?
super happy I worked with her. I would not work with her again because now that I look back on just like I don't know if I agree with all her methodology and now she's become a very like kind of 7-figure type of coach.
Hmm.
And I see now that she kind of was marketing from a place of fear.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're gonna be single.
Do you want to be 80 and alone? If not, you better sign up for my course right now.
Exactly. And like, I mean, I guess it worked for me.
It worked. No,
but
don't do that, y'all.
but
We're
I
not
think
promoting
yeah,
that.
there's more kind and nurturing ways to do it. But I think honestly, what I really gained from her was to just like, like the dating is a process. It's a means to an end. When you get ghosted, when someone doesn't want to go out with you again, they're actually helping you. They're clearing the way towards the person that you need to get to. Knowing what you don't want in a person is actually really important in getting clear on what you do want in someone. Yeah. And just like, if you like really just going into everything with like an open heart and on an openness because people really sense that. And I think that's why I had so much success was that like guys would go on a date with me and I wouldn't go into the date thinking that they're going to be a dick or they're going to ghost me. Like they didn't have to convince me that they're a good person. I just,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it worked so well.
I think that's really important. I think, in the internet world or just in general, there's like so much talk about there's like no good men out here and men are trash, this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I just think that's a really not the right mindset to go into a situation, right? Like if you're looking to date men and you think they're all trash,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, you're setting a really bad energy around the experience to begin with. And so I do think that that's really good advice. And also what you talked about a little bit before is the whole scarcity thing, right?
Yeah.
I think so many people approach dating with a scarcity mindset that there's like very limited men available or not the kind of men that they want to find, etc. There's like millions of people in the world,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know. I just think there's so much potential and possibility. And yes, when you're walking down the street and most of the men holler at me, not the ones that, not the ones for me.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there are tons of great men out there. Yeah, you just have to have an open mindset about it, I think, and like expect the best.
Yes.
And no doubt you're probably going to run into people who are like not the best or people that ghost you and don't treat you as well as you'd like to be treated. But then also, like your coach said, like if somebody ghosts you, they're doing you a favor, right?
Yes, they
If you don't go ahead
are.
and invest the time into someone who wasn't going to be worth it long run, if that's the type of person they are, trust me, they did you a favor to begin with. Yeah.
And I think one thing that really and I see this a lot I had to work on this and I see it a lot with my clients is like when someone does us wrong, we want to know why.
Yeah.
right? So they're just like, oh, like, but I
Just
just want
tell
to know
me.
why. I just want to know
Yeah.
why. And I'm like, listen, like, they're not going to tell you why.
Probably
And
not.
and even if you knew why, it like it's not gonna, it doesn't help. It doesn't like, you have to heal. Like even if you get
Right.
the reason, like that's still on you to heal that. And there probably isn't a good reason why, like the reason you're looking for. And it's, you know, you just keep being you. And another great piece of advice she gave me was like, show up to every date as yourself. So if somebody doesn't want to date you anymore, you know they're not dating you because you were you.
Right. And that's
You know,
great
that's
because I want to
great.
be myself forever.
Yes. It's like just,
Yeah.
and I want someone who will want me for everything that I am. And
Exactly.
so yeah, like that stuff totally helped me because it is, it's like just like anything that's worth creating, it's a challenging process, right? And we get to choose how we take that challenge on. Like we can do it kicking and screaming and expecting the worst, or we can do it with an open heart and open mind and just like knowing that the outcome is going to be what we desire. And that's what I really had to learn to do. And so yeah, that's my biggest advice for anyone who is looking for someone, is to really just change their perspective on the dating process, because it's a process but it's a necessary process, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally necessary.
That just got
And
real.
so you said what?
That just got
It
real.
got so real, but it's true. It's a very necessary process to meeting someone. And speaking of, I think that's why like I'm really not into the dating thing right now.
Yes.
Because I'm like not in the process, nor do I want to be in the process right now. So I'm just like, we'll see what happens. If I meet someone out on the streets or wherever and spark up a conversation inside. And so actually for the record, all the dates I've been on were just people that I like met when I was just like living life, like out somewhere
Yeah.
or just whatever. So if that continues to happen, which I'm sure, I was gonna say, which I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
It will. It
Okay.
will.
Anyways, if that keeps happening, I will probably continue doing that. And then sometime in the future when I feel like, yeah, I'm ready to engage in the process of like really finding someone for whatever, I don't know, life partner, whatever that's going to look like, then maybe I'll get a little bit more intensive about my dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's, but I will say though, like dating also is a great way, like especially when you move somewhere,
To
to
learn,
like
I know.
to see a city. Like I
I was
remember
thinking about that.
I was like working in San Francisco for a couple months and I went on an app and it was like, I got to go to some really amazing places because I was on these dates, you know? So
That's the only
yeah,
thing I've been thinking about. I didn't want to admit that out loud, but since you brought it up,
it's
yeah, I'm just
true.
gonna go for it. I was just like, that's a really great way to go to some really cool places. I am relatively new to the city, so I could see some things I wouldn't know to see on my own. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. I mean, I feel like definitely when it gets warmer for sure, because then I know I want to be out more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So Chrissy, what, like, I don't know, just with dating and stuff right now, like, I don't know, are you just kind of like, we'll just see what happens with it?
Yeah, I actually am pretty much just like, we'll just see what happens. I mean, one thing that I really am trying to, not trying to, but like one thing I'm thinking about more is, yeah, like what am I, like if I was to start dating, like what is that I'm actually looking for, right? When you've been with a person for so long, you don't really have to think about this type of things, right? Like what you have already. So that's one thing that I've really been thinking through. And I think, one thing that I have learned from you that, and I don't know if I told you this, but
Oh my God.
one thing I know, one thing I've learned from you that I know that I want to take into dating with me in terms of like a relationship down the line is like, how do I want to feel in that relationship?
Mm,
Because again, I think so many people get caught up on like their list, right? And their list revolves around things like how much money does the person make? What do they look like? Not that looks don't matter, but looks fade and like that's just whatever,
yeah.
right? And so it's more, for me, it's more of like, how do I want to feel in a relationship with person? And also, I think part of it for me right now, enjoying this period of singleness, but also thinking about what it is, just getting to know myself better, I think,
Yeah.
outside of a relationship. Because I think that makes the difference in terms of what I want a long-term relationship to
Mm,
look like. So I think I'm just taking some time to do that. So I
yeah.
kind of, at this moment, I'm just like, we'll just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking more of like what I actually want long term. I don't know if I want to get married again. I mean, I'm not like anti-marriage or anything like that, but I don't know that it's like something that I have to do again
Yeah.
necessarily. So just like thinking through some of those things.
As you said that, there's two other things that I think are really, really important when it comes to like dating and romantic relationships, which is, and this was something my coach said to me, and I 100% agree with her, which is like, if you have not worked on something within yourself, you can't expect your partner to have that or be
Right.
that, right? And so, like, for instance, like if you haven't worked on your communication, you know, you can't like expect your partner to be a great communicator, and you may find a partner who's a great communicator, but that relationship will not work really well because it's like there's always going to be this like unequalness when it comes to it. So if there's something you really desire in your partner, then you really have to look at yourself and be like, okay, but
Do
have
I have
I,
that?
yeah, do I have that? Have I worked on that? Am I healing that? Like, you don't have to be 100%, but you have to be kind of, you know, working towards that. And then the other thing too, and Christy and I were actually talking about this weekend. One of my exes, he and I had a good relationship. It was good, and and we could have gotten married and been together, and I know that we would have been happy, um but I also know that I would have been settling. And I think that it's really hard when we desire something really incredible and extraordinary in a relationship and even our own lives, like our careers. Because when we look around us, I would say that most of our friends and family are in relationships, in jobs, and whatever that aren't that great. Like they've settled, or it's like they're like, oh yeah, like I love Bob, but oh, and they roll their eyes,
Right.
and I think we've become so used to that, right? That's just the way it is, that we kind of are like, okay, well, I guess a relationship is just supposed to kind of be like kind of good, but then
It's
kind of also,
okay.
yeah, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
And so I would really encourage those people who really are looking for extraordinary and incredible to like shift your focus to examples of relationships like that, like whether it's real life people, other people, because that's one of the things that got me through in those moments where I was like, all right, well, maybe I should be with that person. It was just like, no, 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 but that's not really what I want. And I think that later on in life, it really would have come to bite me in the ass. And I'm so grateful that I took the time, I invested the energy, invested all that work in order to find my husband now, Raj, because what we have is really incredible and extraordinary. And I really say extraordinary because I think it's
She's not lying, y'all. I witness it all the time. She's being 100% honest right now.
but it really took some work on my side. It really took some effort and time and patience. And so that's also something like it's a marathon and it ain't a sprint, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, and on that same note, though, I think that goes back to the scarcity thing, right? Because most people stay in things that are okay, whether it be a job or career or relationship, because, well, it's okay. And it's the idea that, like, either from a worthiness perspective, you don't think you can have something better, or you just don't believe that there's something better out there for you, or that the love, like if we're talking about romantically,
Hmm.
that that type of extraordinary love is something that you'll find,
Right.
right? And so you're like, well, I'd rather have this than nothing. So this is okay.
Yeah.
And again, like you were saying with your ex, it might have been okay and you could have probably been happy, but like later down the road, that may not have worked out. And
Right.
who knows? We don't know
Who
what would have
knows?
happened, right? But maybe like it wouldn't have. And so, speaking from someone who gets to witness Shirin and Raj's relationship, it is really just such a beautiful thing to see. And I'm like not exaggerating. Like it's extraordinary. Like she's saying, it's not like just some, I don't even know. Like I try to tell this to people and I don't know how to describe it because people are like, but what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. You have to see it for yourself. Okay. It's the only way. The only way I can describe this is you have to watch it with your own two eyes. There are no words that can really help you understand what it's like. Um, but truth be told, like that's a great relationship to be around because then you recognize that that type of relationship is possible
Yeah.
and is worth doing the work on yourself, right? Because
Mhm.
like you said, you have to do the important work on yourself before you can go out there and create this beautiful thing. And so taking that time or periods of like loneliness or periods of look by yourself to really like, okay, this is the time for me to work on me so that I can bring all the things that I want from another person. I have those things to bring to the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So 100%, all of that. And it's really just like that, the self, and again, like I really want to say, you don't have to be like whole or fixed or perfect,
No, 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 no.
right? Like, and you can be a work in progress and have, amazingness come into your life. It's just, you have to like be doing the work, which I think most of us but that's the hard stuff. Like, it's like, I talked about this today where it's like, we know how to put in the physical labor. Like we know how to do the grit. We know how to like just get ourselves over the finish line, but we don't know how to like do the inner work that
And that's
really
like
is,
really important part.
yeah, that's the stuff that really shifts the outer stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we talked more about dating than romantic relationships. So maybe we need to change the title of this whatever
Yeah, this is
podcast
just,
episode.
I don't know, right?
But to whoever is still listening, I hope that this gave you some insight, hope, I don't know, some laughs.
Some laughs, if
Yes.
nothing else. Laughs,
Oh
if
my
nothing
God.
else.
I mean, we could do literally a whole podcast on like just funny stories in dating. But yeah, we won't. We won't do it now.
Not this time around.
This time.
Maybe in
No.
the future, though.
We got to get Chrissy to get a couple under her belt.
I know, I'll get a couple in my belt and then we'll come back and do another episode about that.
Okay, so this week's actual Asking for a Friend is related to our topic because it's about ghosting. And right, like it's so prevalent. It happens all the time. And actually it happens like not just in romantic relationships, but all types of relationships.
Friendships, all kinds of things, yeah.
So what are our thoughts on ghosting? How should you respond to someone who ghosts? What do you think about that, Chrissy? Like, what do you do if you feel like someone is ghosting you?
Okay, well, number one, I think it's really important. First off, don't ghost people because that's rude. Okay, like I just think we need to apply the golden rule. We don't like being ghosted. We shouldn't ghost other people. So that's number one. But then also, like, I just think with ghosting, the most important thing is you can't take it personally.
Yeah.
Right? It says more about the person than it does about you. And like you said, like even if like you, okay, so for example, I know someone, will remain anonymous, who was recently ghosted by someone. And it was like a dating situation, right?
Mm.
And the person just like stopped responding to their text messages.
Right.
So, like instead of just letting it be, the person like waited like 3 days and then they wrote them a text back and was more like less like, well, hope nothing happened to you since you didn't respond to my text message. And then like, and if nothing did happen, which I'm assuming did, I think it's really rude that you didn't text me back. And it's like all this stuff. And obviously the person never responded to that either.
Right.
Right. And so it's back to that thing of like, even if you really just need to know what happened, if they ghosted you, they're probably not going to tell you now what the real reason was. And I just think the best thing we can do is not take it personally. And that's hard sometimes, right? Because if someone goes you, your natural inclination is like, what did I do? What did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I must have done something wrong. They don't like the person that I am. Like, what do I need to fix about myself? And it's like, no, none of those things are true. And I like, honestly, for myself, and now maybe this is just me trying to make myself feel better, but I'm always just like, wow, that's really sad for them because like I'm amazing. So like, damn, they don't even know what they missed out on.
Yes.
And so that's just how I approach it because like, well, for one, I do think I'm amazing. And secondly, thank you. And secondly, like you said, like if somebody ghosts me, I'm assuming that the universe is doing me a favor because that person does not need to be in my life for whatever reason. And so, yeah, it can feel really like not great. Like rejection in any form never really usually feels good. But I think it's just really important to not make it. It's not about me. It's about that person and whatever they have going on. And like, oh, well, they're lost, whatever.
100% everything you said, 100%. I do think that like, if it is, if it is really important for you to write back to them, do it with like, don't be passive aggressive like that. Right?
That was passive aggressive as fuck, right?
It's like really like, like I'm going to say something woo, like your throat chakra. Like I do not want your throat chakra to be blocked. So express yourself, but express what you truly want to say, which is like, hey, I thought we had a really good time. And to be honest, I'm feeling really hurt that I haven't heard from you. Whatever. I wish you the best, but I was really hoping that we could have gone on another date or whatever, and they may not respond. But the likelihood of them responding to something like that is, higher. But also it's like, you're just like, what is the energy you're putting out into the world? What is the energy you're giving off? And passive aggressiveness is usually not met with an open heart and an open mind. It's just met with more blocking, right?
Yeah.
I actually have a really good story about this on my end. So
yeah, tell me, please.
there was a guy I went out on 2 dates with, and he was really nice, but like, we didn't go on a date again. And then like 4 months later, we bumped each other on the subway because that's what happens to me all the time in New York. So we bump into each other and I was like, hey, like, why did I never go on a date? He's cute. He's nice. And so this is one thing though, a piece of advice. If you did not go on another date with a guy, there's a reason why. There's a good, like, It's like
You
4
might have
months.
forgot, but trust me,
Yeah,
there's a reason.
there's a good reason why. Okay. So anyway, so I was like, yeah, let's just go. So we went out on another date, and like, 10 minutes of the date, I was like, oh, right, this is why.
This is why.
And
This
so,
is why.
And so I thought I was being really clear. Like I was not clear as like, an hour into date, I was like, I should probably be getting home, whatever. And
That's
again,
clear. Listen, I'm not having a good time. It's time to go.
But with dating, like we think we're being clear, but the other person, it's like the other person's perception, right? Like we just have to know that at all times with ourselves and with others, right? So I think I'm being clear, and I'm not, because he's like, oh, let me walk you to the train, and do you want me to? And I was like, oh my God, like
he's not getting it.
And so we get to the train station. We're like in Midtown, busy street corner, and he comes in to kiss me.
No.
And like I just couldn't, so I like pulled away, and I was like, oh, I'm not really interested in you like that. All in the middle of Manhattan, this guy goes, no.
Oh my God, stop.
Why don't you want to kiss me? What's wrong with me? Oh my God, Chrissy. I had to talk to this guy.
How do you respond to that?
For an hour. He was like, what's wrong with me? Like this always
on the corner?
This always happens to me. Girls don't want to go out with me again. Just tell me what is wrong with me. Tell me what's wrong with me so I can just fix it.
Oh
Chrissy,
my God.
I am not, but like literally like that example was such like, it was the universe being like, girl, this is like when you text someone saying, tell me what it is, this is it. But like, this is like the most like.
Wait, but did you tell him what was wrong with him?
No, I mean, honestly.
Not that there's wrong with him, but did you tell him why you didn't want to go on a date with him again?
Again, because like this, it was such a great, like, it was a great lesson for me because what was wrong, he just wasn't my person. Like I wasn't.
There's nothing wrong with him.
And that I said, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, I just don't think like that. Like, I just am not feeling the energy. I'm not feeling the connection. Like literally, I was telling him the truth. Like, there is nothing wrong with you. You are a perfect human being that someone else is going to adore and love, but you are not my human being, right?
Right.
And he was like, no, tell me what it is. Is it because I talk too much?
Poor guy.
Right. And like, he
needs a dating coach.
Y'all, this was like the middle of Manhattan.
I cannot believe the story.
People were staring at us.
Of course they were. Tell me. No.
To this dude having a meltdown in the middle of the street.
Poor guy.
Oh man. So like that was like my big like universal lesson.
Have you run into him since then?
I have seen him on the train again.
Stop. Did you talk to him?
Of course not. No.
Okay.
So anyway, all that to say, the reason why is it's never gonna suffice. Like whatever that other person says, you just want the other person to say, yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. I want to date you again. No, but like, yeah, you're right. I want to date you again. You're like, I want to kiss you. You're right. Like,
I mean, did he really want that? Do you think that was going to happen?
But like, that's what you want. You want someone to like, anyway, all that to say, that happened to me. So
gosh, that's
it's
really
just
funny.
like, you know what? Don't ghost people. Don't. But if you are ghosted, know that like that is not your person and they're showing you who they are. And it doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel good. So take good care of yourself, right? You're going to feel sadness. You're going to feel down. You're going to feel frustrated. So take care of you. It's not the other person's responsibility to take care of you, right? Even when
don't make him on the corner tell you what's wrong with you.
Right. And having said that, like even when you are in a romantic relationship, it isn't like my husband's responsibility to take care of me emotionally. It's a plus, it's a bonus when he can and when he does, but that is first and foremost my responsibility. And I learned how to do that in the process of dating. I know how to take care of myself when I'm feeling alone or when I'm feeling, extra emotional or whatever that is. And so that is what dating is. It is a beautiful way of healing and growing, and it is no one else's responsibility to owe us any explanations because they're not supposed to make us feel better. That's all on you. Yes.
I love it. I totally agree. And thank you for sharing another wonderful story with us.
Oh my God. I almost forgot about that.
Oh, wow. That was so good.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Our next episode is going to be our last episode for the season.
I'm feeling all kinds of ways about this.
But this has been such an incredible ride. Thank you for joining us this season. I don't know when we're coming back. We're going to come back for sure.
Come back. We're going to win.
Yes, but thank you for listening to us. We've had so much love and so much support, and
But we have one more. We're not saying our final goodbye.
Yeah. No. I'm just getting all like emo, but
we have one more episode.
Anyway, thank you for listening,
and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.
thank you so much for joining us for this episode of TGTS. If you like today's episode, please subscribe, review, or leave a comment for us. And please share the TGTS love. Until next week, bye.